Today I'm back to the Gary Vaynerchuk website, GaryVaynerchuk.com, and two topics that I interested in. Number one is why one view can change everything, and the second one, how to find employees with empathy and kindness. No relation of uh, two blocks, but the one view can change everything that I uh, interested because some of the content in the fast lane book that mentioned to you have to change your mind about working or give the value to millions of users, but uh, focus on the first user first, small size, the small size first. And I uh, don't I try to search about this topic but don't find any, and just found only on the GaryVaynerchuk.com recently, and I will share this blog that why one view can change everything by Gary Vaynerchuk. It baffles me how many people think that they are bigger than they actually are. I hear people saw I hear people say, well, how do I get in the New York Times? Or how do I get that meeting with that CEO? And oftentimes I just say one is better than zero. Okay, now this might catch you off guard, but let me explain. The concept around one is better than zero is simply a call to action to do. It's understanding that one view is better than zero, and that humility and patience is the foundation for success. The time it takes to get your foot in the door at the biggest companies in the world is often years and years of hard work. It's all the little things that you do along the way that add up to something more. So before you get a meeting with Mark Zuckerberg or Mark Cuban or me, you are going to have to take 100 meeting with your friend and your uncle and your neighbor. You need to put in the work. People are always messaging me like, man, you have been on Conan and Ellen and the Today Show and CNN and Fox. How do I do that? And Gary always receive the message. And I like, well, I also did 2000 interviews on video and blogs and podcasts that got 1 or 19 or 137 views. Remember, I start with 0 followers too. Okay, my PR people and all my managers and handler are actually pieces at me because they are like, why are you spending 15 minutes doing these blogs that have 6 readers every single day, and you are passing on stuff that might have a larger audience? Well, that's how I built my career on the Gary Vaynerchuk. That how Gary built his career. It's the patience and willingness to do 500 interviews and conference calls and meetings over coffee that never turn into anything. I I mean hell. I did one rivalry TV show every day for an entire year before anyone said a thing. The moral of the story is that one is always better than zero. It's better to get one view than zero because you were waiting for your big break. Big breaks don't often exist. LeBron become an all-star player after 10 years in a gym. Nothing happens overnight. Honestly, I'm often even more excited about being on a podcast or a video blog that's only going to reach 100 people because I am in love with being different. I love to give back to people starting with 100 views and understand the struggle and the hustle of people just trying to make their dream real. I know what what is like. So many questions for you is why are not you willing to get 100 views? What makes you so fancy until you are Oprah or The Rock or Tony Robbins? You can't be romantic. You can't choose what's the alternative. If you don't take a podcast with 26 listeners, then what are you doing? Even today, I do podcasts and interviews and selfies for content that will give me no brand or financial return. The reason I do this, the reason I do that is because I want to give back to people that are fans of me. And so even today, when I have a lot more leverage that I did 3 or 4 or 5 years ago to get on bigger platforms, I still live under the motto that one is better than zero. This is all parts of the process of putting it, the work of being humble and patient in my success. Are you willing to take the 10 minutes to get 195 views? I am. Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, seriously, I don't know who you think you are. You haven't had the exposure yet. You don't have thousands of followers on Instagram. You are still building your brand. You are still figuring it all out. I promise you that the greatest mistake you can possibly make is saying no. Be open to opportunity, and if things don't go well, move on. You have 500 more interviews to go. I did so many uh, 87s and 59s and 137s and 8, 813 views videos day in a day in and day out. It's part of the key to my success. I promise you every view counts. You may look at the video and only see 246 views and write it off, but one of those 200 views might be a producer at CNN or maybe the CFO of big company that you are trying to reach. And in 10 years, that content creator could become a massive celebrity. And all of the sudden, your podcast interview has all millions views. So undervaluing just the one view is an enormous mistakes. It's about having the humility. It's about not saying no, even you have made it. The one is better than zero concept is something I'm really proud that I continue to execute on. Do you have the humility and patience in you? This is from why one view can change everything. And I will summarize on this blog. Uh, Gary mentioned to one view might be uh, one view in the 200 view. One view might be the producer of the big company or might be the CFO of the big company that you are trying to reach. It doesn't matter of the number. Doesn't matter. It's uh, matter with who is view your video, even only one view. That's uh, meaningful. And another one from Gary Vaynerchuk: how to find employees with empathy and kindness. I uh, personal interested on this. Uh, this is nothing worse in business than firing someone. I am not usually the one who does it in VaynerMedia anymore, since we have grown to so many employees. But when I did, I would spend a month figuring out uh, how to make myself feel better about it. We are not in the 1, 2, 3 spike policy here at VaynerMedia. We actually have enormous continuity, and I think part of that is things to the firing policy. People see that we try to handle things with the empathy and grace. How to find employees with em- empathy and kindness. Three concepts to help with this different process. Number one, try not to let the firing comes as a surprise. Give them enough feedback and help them perform better. Number two, help them get another job where they might get paid more money. Number three, be willing to work with uh, them on narrative in the office so they are not embarrassed with their friends. Number one, try not to let the firing come as a surprise. At VaynerMedia, we do our best to give employees as much feedback and uh, help when they need it. We work hard with people to help them achieve what they wanted to do when they come on board, or to help them find a better fit within company. I think word of that effort gets around, and it makes people feel good about working here. And here is how to manage underperforming employees. Take the blame. Is Here is how to manage underperforming employees. Take the blames. Start to communicate better. Ask them, what can I do to help? And actually start helping. If you are the founder or CEO of the company, everything that happens in your company is on you. If an employee is not performing, it's super important to take a look at yourself and your processes first before blaming them. Again, if you're the founder or CEO of your company, everything that happens in your company is on you. If an employee is on not performing, it's super important to take a look at yourself and your processes first before blaming them. Three ways to manage underperforming: take a blame, communicate better, tell them they are not executing at level you are hoping for, ask them what can I do to help, and actually start helping. Number two, help them to get another job somewhere else where they might make more money. Just because you had to find someone doesn't necessarily mean that they are not good at their craft or that they can't succeed at different company. If someone gets let go at VaynerMedia, it could be for a variety of reasons. It could be that they are not able to keep up with the pace of our execution. They might not be good managers, but they might be the great executing. It could just be that we had mistakes and put them in the wrong position. They might have performed poorly because they didn't click with their boss. I'm super willing to help my employees transition out of my company into another role uh, where they could be successful for one reason. I am more interested in how I feel about myself and what those who know me say about me as a man that than the profitability of my company. Is why I try really hard to keep strong relationships with my employees even after they leave or get let go. It's why I aim to deliver 51% of the value of that relationship. People always talk about why employees shouldn't burn bridge with employers, but not many people talk about the reverse of that. Not many people talk about employers keeping relationships with employees even even when they let them go. It also just practical. I don't want to name names or put people on blast, but there have been situations where an employee left or let go got let go from VaynerMedia, ended up going to work in-house at another brand and recommended working with VaynerMedia to that company. Keeping those relationships had led to actually business. It's something that most companies don't think about. And number three, be willing to work with them on the narrative in the office so they are not embraced with friends. A lot of companies struggle with this because they care more about the short-term money instead of building a long-term relationship with the person they are firing. I care about Gary Vaynerchuk, care about my employees. I care what they say about me. And when you care about something in perpetuity, you care how it ends in the short term. That's why I don't think of my relationships with employees as transactional. I think of it as opposite. I actually feel a sense of responsibility for people who work for me, which is the big reasons why I'm willing to give them value even after they leave. When someone is let go, part of what they might struggle with is the narrative that's being told in the office. Many would still have friends at work, so it's important to be willing to work with them on the narrative you are telling employees within the company. At the end of the day, I don't think people leaving my company or getting let go is the end of our relationship. I think it's the beginning of a new chapter. This is from the how to find employees with empathy and kindness. I think it's the most reasonable blog that I read from the Gary Vaynerchuk at all. If you have any comments, please you can leave your comment below. Thank you so much for today.